This is H.R. 1, also known as the One Big Beautiful Bill. Despite criticism by hardline conservatives, key provisions of the bill are very popular with the American public. Fabrizio Lee and Associates, a GOP pollster, found that voters in several key congressional districts overwhelmingly liked key provisions in the bill. 63% support no tax on tips. 59% support no tax on overtime. 61% support making the Trump tax cuts permanent. 68% support giving the U.S. military funding and equipment to fight cartels and stop the flow of deadly drugs like fentanyl into the United States. And 57% support hiring nearly 40,000 additional ICE and Border Patrol agents. And despite this popularity, not a single Democrat voted for the bill. Instead, they voted against taxing Americans less and voted against border security. The 2026 midterms are looking pretty damn good.
Look, the American people want to see this bill. 80% of the American people support this bill, support the tax cuts that are in it. And so,
all of it.
That's what we're seeing right now, that they want
your
those
internal
tax
polling
cuts to
says
be done.
80% of the American people
that's
support this
public
bill.
polling, who 80% of the people,
not just the tax cuts.
78% of Democrats and 81%
the Medicaid
of
cuts,
independents want to see the tax cuts that are going to be put into this bill.
So CBS News' Major Garrett tries to interject erroneous claims that the Republicans' big, beautiful bill is going to cut Medicaid and food stamp benefits. But here's Speaker Mike Johnson to debunk.
We are not cutting Medicaid in this package. There's a lot of misinformation out there about this, Jake. The numbers of Americans who are affected are those that are entwined in our work to eliminate fraud, waste, and abuse. And what do I mean by that? You got more than 1.4 million illegal aliens on Medicaid. Medicaid is not intended for non-U.S. citizens. It's intended for the most vulnerable populations of Americans, which is pregnant women and young single mothers, the disabled, the elderly. They are protected in what we're doing because we're preserving the resources for those who need it most.
And it seems like Americans agree. According to the polling, 68% support protecting Medicaid by removing people who are ineligible, strengthening the program for Americans who need it, and saving billions of dollars for taxpayers. And this isn't a radical concept. If you're not supposed to be on Medicaid, you shouldn't get Medicaid.
You're talking about 4.8 million able-bodied workers, young men, for example, who are on Medicaid and not working. They are choosing not to work when they can. That is called fraud. They are cheating the system. When you root out those kinds of abuses, you save the resources that are so desperately needed by the people who deserve it and need it most.
Again, Americans agree. 72% support saving taxpayers hundreds of billions of dollars by having work requirements for able-bodied, working-age adults who receive Medicaid.
The morality of what we're doing here is precisely right, and it comports with all the public opinion polls. When people ask whether young men, for example, who are able-bodied and have no dependents should be working, everybody says yes.
Okay, not everybody, but work requirements and removing people who are ineligible for Medicaid, like illegal immigrants, is clearly popular.
One of Trump's top pollsters, Tony Fabrizio, has numbers showing that about 65 to high 50s support almost every component part of this bill, including work requirements for Medicaid. Are you going to fight like hell against all those things, even though Trump's pollster has numbers saying that they have majority support in our country?
Well, Major, you know this. You've been in this business for a long time, and everyone's got a poll to show their own point. And, so I'm not going to believe Trump's pollsters. We see numbers just the opposite.
No, they don't. For example, KFF conducted a national poll that found that 62% of adults support work requirements for Medicaid. So a GOP pollster and a center-left health policy think tank each found majority support for Medicaid work requirements. But DNC Chair Ken Martin claims the opposite is true because he lives in cuckoo land.
There's great buyer's remorse in this country right now with what Donald Trump and his administration are doing to this country already. In just 4 short months, they've completely destroyed the fabric of what's made this country great for so many years.
The same people that tried to gaslight America for 4 years that Bidenomics was amazing and that President Biden wasn't a walking corpse are now claiming that Trump voters have buyer's remorse. This is the best the Democrats can do, and it's not working.
As the son of a teen mom who had me when she was 15 years old, who raised 4 kids by herself, by the time she was 20, she struggled mightily. And if it wasn't for programs like Medicaid, I wouldn't have had health care.
What?
This is very personal. I grew up, my mom was a teen mom, had me when she was 15 years old, and had 4 kids by the time she was 20 and struggled as a mom.
My mom was 15 years old when she had me. She had 4 kids that she raised by her on her own. My mom had me when she was 15 years old. She raised 4 kids by the time she was 20. We struggled mightily with poverty, in and out of shelters. And if it wasn't for Medicaid, and if it wasn't for SNAP, I wouldn't have had health care or food when I was a child.
Of course you struggled mightily with poverty. Your mom had 4 kids in the span of 6 years. I mean, where's the father? Or should I be asking, where are the fathers?
Look, if you ask me who I am, it's the same as asking me why I'm a Democrat. I was one of 4 kids raised by a single mom. I remember what tough times look like and the real struggles of poverty.
So he's a Democrat because his mother made questionable life decisions. Got it. Anyway, the Democrats can't argue against the merits of the big beautiful bill, nor do they have any solutions of their own.
What are you, doing to protect funding to Medicaid, Medicare, and healthcare access?
This budget bill that they are talking about passing right now, they are moving it through the House and the Senate. It's a pretty simple story. It's about $1 trillion in cuts to the Medicaid program, and that means automatically millions of people all across the country lose their access to health care. And guess what? It's $1 trillion in tax cuts for the richest 1%, right? So when I say it's the most massive transfer of wealth and resources from the poor and the middle class to the rich in this country, that's the story.
So the question was, what are the Democrats going to do to stop Trump and the Republicans? And Senator Chris Murphy is like, Republicans bad, billionaires bad. The Democrats don't have any answers. They're just fucking whiners.
The House of Representatives passed Donald Trump's big, beautiful bill. This would be the greatest transfer of wealth from just one piece of legislation from the poorest Americans to the richest Americans ever before in U.S. history. Billionaires win, everyone else loses.
This coming from the woman who wants to go full-on socialism and literally steal from millionaires and billionaires.
The socialist wing of the Democrat Party demands that you add up the value of all your stocks, bonds, houses, businesses, even your artwork. Then you have to fork over a portion of that wealth every year to the government. It doesn't matter whether your investments are up or down. Just having money is the excuse to take it off you. They do not respect success.
Today, Trump claimed that as far as Medicaid is concerned, the bill would only cut waste, fraud, and abuse, which I know is absolute baloney. But I need you, in the best Elizabeth Warren Senator way, to explain to everyone why that is absolute baloney.
Well, it's absolute baloney because what it's going to do is it's going to cut the money available to help people have health care coverage. And who it's mostly going to cut it from are little tiny babies, from mamas who've just given birth, from people with disabilities, from seniors living in nursing homes.
I'm not seeing in the bill where it says to take money from tiny babies and mothers. Okay, because it doesn't exist. Look, Democrats have accused Republicans of trying to kill grandma for decades. But we're supposed to trust this woman who tried to gaslight Americans into believing that this guy could serve in the White House for another 4 years.
Do you regret saying that President Biden had a mental acuity? He had a sharpness to him. You said that up until July of last year.
I said what I believe to be true.
And you think he was as sharp as you?
I said I had not seen decline.
And on that note, that's it for now. Follow me on X at Don't Walk Run And as always, thank you for tuning in, and I hope to see you next time, if there is next time.